Talking to yourself when you're alone is often misunderstood. People assume it means distraction, instability, a lack of control. Maybe you've caught yourself doing it, muttering while you cook, talking through a problem at your desk, having full conversations with yourself in the car, and maybe for just a moment, you wondered if something was wrong with you. Psychology suggests something very different. For many people, self-talk isn't a problem, it's a tool. When thoughts move quickly and overlap, silence isn't always enough to keep them organized. Speaking gives the mind structure. It turns internal chaos into something manageable, and far from being a sign of confusion or instability. Self-talk is linked to several impressive cognitive traits. So if you talk to yourself when you're alone, you're not losing it. You're likely demonstrating what psychologists recognize as advanced mental processing. Here are the traits commonly found in people who talk to themselves when alone. 1. You organize complex thinking through sound. When you speak your thoughts out loud, you're not losing touch with reality. You're externalizing ideas so they can be examined more clearly. Psychology shows that hearing your own words turns abstract thoughts into concrete information. This makes logic easier to evaluate and connections easier to see. It can remain fuzzy and incomplete, but the moment you say it out loud, you're forced to give it structure. You hear gaps in your logic. You notice contradictions. You connect ideas that were floating separately. While others let thoughts drift silently, your brain prefers definition. Sound becomes a way to slow, sort, and refine thinking. You might catch yourself saying things like, "Okay, if I do this first, then that won't work. Wait, that doesn't make sense. Why would I? Oh, right. Let me think through this out loud." This isn't confusion. It's mental organization for a fast-moving mind. Your thoughts likely move quickly, and speaking keeps important details from getting lost in the noise. Research even shows that people who verbalize problem-solving solve tasks faster and more accurately, because speaking creates a feedback loop. Your ears hear what your mouth says, and your brain processes it as new input. You're essentially giving yourself real-time feedback on your own thinking. 2. You use verbal cues to sharpen focus. Talking to yourself while working isn't a distraction. It's a focusing mechanism. Research shows that naming actions out loud directs attention more precisely. Your brain highlights what matters and filters out what doesn't. When you say keys while searching for your keys, your attention narrows. Your visual system becomes tuned to key-shaped objects. Speaking the steps out loud keeps your attention anchored instead of drifting ahead or wandering off. You might hear yourself saying, "Email first, then the report. Focus, just this. Write, this document." These aren't signs of forgetfulness. They're attention management strategies. Your voice becomes a guide for concentration. Instead of your mind jumping between thoughts, verbal cues pull it back to the present task. Studies show that people who verbalize actions make fewer errors and maintain focus longer. You're not scattered. You're directing cognitive resources intentionally. Especially for fast-thinking minds or people with ADHD, verbal anchoring is essential. You're not talking to yourself because your mind is weak. You're doing it because your mind is active. 3. You regulate emotions internally. Self-talk during stress isn't panic, it's regulation. By talking through situations, you create distance between feeling and reaction. You might hear yourself say, "Okay, it's fine. Let's think about this calmly. I'm frustrated, but I don't need to act on that. What would I tell someone else right now?" This activates the prefrontal cortex, the part of the brain responsible for reasoning and emotional control. Speaking engages clarity when emotions are high. Many people rely on others to calm them down. You've learned to do that work internally. That's not isolation. It's emotional maturity. Research even shows that talking to yourself using you or they instead of I improves emotional regulation. It creates psychological distance, helping you see the situation more objectively. You're not falling apart. You're actively preventing yourself from falling apart. 4. You encode information more strongly into memory. Speaking information out loud makes it more memorable. Psychologists call this the production effect. When your brain hears your own voice, it treats the information as important. Reading silently uses visual processing. Speaking adds auditory and motor processing. More pathways means stronger memory. Read important things out loud. Repeat instructions to yourself. Say your to-do list out loud. Explain what you just learned. You're not repeating things unnecessarily, you're reinforcing them. Studies show people remember spoken information significantly better, even days later, especially complex or multi-step information. And there's another layer. If you can explain something clearly out loud, you understand it. If you struggle to articulate it, you know there are gaps. So, self-talk becomes both a memory tool and a comprehension check. You're essentially teaching yourself, and teaching is one of the most effective ways to learn. 5. You have an active internal dialogue. People who talk to themselves often have rich internal worlds. Different parts of their thinking hold different perspectives. One analytical, one emotional, one practical, one critical. Speaking out loud helps these parts communicate. You might say, "I feel this way, but, logically, I know I'm upset, but is that fair? What actually makes the most sense here?" This is metacognition, thinking about thinking, and it's a sign of cognitive sophistication. You don't accept your first thought as truth. You examine it, question it, refine it. Speaking gives structure to that internal dialogue. You're moderating a conversation inside your own mind. Talking to yourself when you're alone doesn't mean something is wrong. It often means your mind is active, analytical, and self-regulating. You use language to organize complex thoughts, sharpen focus, manage emotions, and strengthen memory. That isn't instability, it's cognitive skill. Self-talk is linked to better problem-solving, stronger emotional control, and deeper understanding, not confusion. So if you've ever felt self-conscious about it, you can stop. You're not weird, you're not broken. You're using a mental tool that helps you think more clearly. And that's not something to hide. That's intelligence at work.